Africa's largest hydroelectric dam is being constructed in Ethiopia. This dam will increase the nation's present electricity generation and provide clean, renewable energy to millions of people in the area with a reservoir that is more than twice the size of New York City. Egypt and Sudan, who are close by, are not enthusiastic about the proposal, though following the beginning of the dam's filling. Egypt declared that any actions that may limit Egypt's share of water from the Nile would not be tolerated. They added that the possibility of a military war is always on the table if tensions rise higher. Therefore, today, we will examine the most contentious megaproject in Africa in more detail to see if the tensions may be reduced or if the conflict might potentially worsen. The existing state of Ethiopia led to the development of the ideas for this enormous megaproject. After a turbulent and unpredictable past marred by colonialism and civil conflict, Ethiopia has managed to dramatically expand its economy in the previous 20 years. The ongoing civil war in the Tigray region is just one of several factors contributing to the poor humanitarian situation. Aside from that, though, every second person lacks access to electricity. The nation continues to have power outages and energy shortages, and it is getting harder and harder to meet the demands of an economy and population that are both constantly expanding. The nation is currently spending billions of dollars on enhancing its energy industry to address this long-standing issue. The largest hydroelectric power plant ever built on the African continent will be created by this one project. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, which is Ethiopia's largest and most ambitious megaproject and towers 145 meters high and 1,780 meters long, has the ability to literally chart the future of the nation. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is perched atop the Blue Nile, one of the primary tributaries of the Nile that contributes about 85% of the water that flows into the Nile downstream and is located about 10 kilometers from the border with neighboring Sudan. The project, which is expected to cost $5 billion, started construction in 2011. With scant or no outside assistance, Ethiopia's government struggled to pay for the project. Nevertheless, they could cover the project's costs primarily through internal fundraising and the issue of bonds. It is anticipated to produce up to 6,500 megawatt of clean, renewable energy when finished. The total country's current electricity generation is more than doubled by this. Ethiopia's long-standing power shortfall will be resolved once the dam is finished, and the country will also be able to start exporting power to its neighbors, including Djibouti, Sudan, Uganda, and Kenya. Ethiopia must take one final, important step before the full potential of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam can be fulfilled. Construction is currently virtually finished, but a reservoir with a volume of 74 cubic kilometers still needs to be filled. In order to put this into perspective, the reservoir has the capacity to hold more water than the Blue Nile receives in a single year. Due to this, filling the reservoir has taken Ethiopia more than 2 years so far instead of the anticipated 7 years. Egypt, which lies more than 2,000 kilometers downstream from the reservoir of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, has referred to the project as an existential menace. The Nile River has been both Egypt's symbolic and physical heart for a significant portion of human history. In the fertile green floodplains that offer a sharp contrast to the remainder of the arid Sahara Desert that makes up much of Egypt, more than 95% of the entire population resides just a few kilometers from the Nile. With the Nile serving as a key lifeblood, the nation has developed from one of the most sophisticated ancient civilizations in the world to the African powerhouse that it is today. However, the very canal that has provided for them for thousands of years is now endangering their very existence. It is an understatement to suggest that Egypt cannot and will not survive without the Nile, given that 97% of the freshwater directly comes from the same water source and that the yearly water share per person is only 590 cubic meters. Therefore, it should come as no surprise that the Egyptians have serious concerns about the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam's development and the eventual filling of its reservoir. Both Egypt and its neighboring Sudan, which depends on the Nile's economic and agricultural might, run the risk of losing control of it once the dam is finished. For them, Having a foreign country like Ethiopia manage the water supply is not just a challenge to their political position and power but also a matter of survival. With the construction of the new dam, Ethiopia must now carefully plan when and how long to open or close the floodgates in order to avoid issues like excessive evaporation and significant floods downstream. Egypt and Sudan want to be involved in those decisions. Tensions between these three countries rose in July 2020 when Ethiopia began filling the reservoir. Despite numerous complaints and requests for trilateral agreements, they pushed through with the first filling, saying that the process was a natural part of the dam's construction and could not be delayed. The Ethiopian government was accused by Egypt's foreign ministry of hindering the joint efforts of Egypt, Sudan, and the United Nations to come to an amicable solution between the three countries in July 2021. A declaration of principles that the three nations signed in 2015 forbids any signatory from starting Nile River projects without first informing the other two, and Egypt accuses Ethiopia of breaking this rule. Egypt has already stated that the possibility of military action is always on the table if their demands are not satisfied, and tensions rise during this issue. Ethiopia, on the other side, installed anti-air missile systems around the dam to prepare for a potential escalation of the crisis. Since August 2022, it appears that there will not be any major armed conflicts. In order for negotiations to actually start, Egypt and Sudan are now pleading with the United Nations to step in and mediate between the three nations. However, as the parties continue to blame each other for holding up talks and pointing fingers at one another, cooperation still appears to be a distant prospect. The three parties' dispute appears to have no apparent conclusion in the foreseeable future, but this does not imply that things must remain this way indefinitely. Egypt and Sudan may even benefit from the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam if the three nations cooperated and saw the Nile as a resource that everyone relied on. If constructed properly, the dam can stop severe flooding in the nation downriver, where it frequently occurs. Additionally, the dam could coordinate the flow of water downstream, protecting the dams built by Sudan and Egypt inside their respective boundaries. Finally, the energy produced has enormous potential for the entire area. Do you have an opinion on the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam? Can Ethiopia, Sudan, and Egypt come to an agreement on this? Or will discussions last for a very long time? Thank you for watching. What do you think about our video? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoy this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit the subscribe button before you go. Thank you for watching.